I used to think alcohol added so much in my life. Thought it helped me relax, I thought it helped me de-stress, I thought it made me funnier, the life and soul of a party, but none of this stuff could have been further from the truth. I remember waking up one morning, looking at my reflection, seeing bloodshot eyes, seeing half a bottle of whiskey in my bedroom, thinking, this stuff is slowly stealing my life away. One drink at a time, it just kept taking and taking and taking. For 16 years, I've walked both paths. I spent close to 10 years drinking and struggling and trying to stop all the time, and I've spent the past 6 years without a drop. But most importantly, these 6 years have been transformational. What I'm about to share with you today isn't going to be some quick drinking lecture. I want to give you the raw and unfiltered lessons that I've learned over the past 16 years. So what we're going to do is look at 5 reasons why I actually quit in the first place. Then I'm going to talk to you about 5 reasons why I found it so hard for close to 10 years. And then finally, I'm going to show you 5 ways that my life has taken off since stopping drinking. Now, since stopping drinking 6 years ago, I've actually built a coaching company called soberclear.com, and we work with business owners and professionals, and we help them get control of their drinking quickly. If you want information on that, you can go to soberclear.com, or if you actually want to book a call to speak with our team to see if the program could be a good match, you can click the link in the description. We typically work with business owners and professionals, and we have a totally new method that doesn't rely on AA and therapy and rehab or any of that stuff. So again, if you want information on it, just go to soberclear.com or click the link down below to book a call. So let's get into 5 reasons why I had to quit drinking. And I want to share this with you to hopefully give you a bit of motivation and inspiration, because I'm sure you're going to relate to a lot of this stuff. So the first reason why I actually wanted to quit is because when I drank for 10 years, I did stop and start. It wasn't 10 years of continuous drinking. There were periods where I could stop for a week, a month. There was actually a period of my life where I went about somewhere between 6 and 8 months. I can't remember the exact amount of time. But every time I'd stop, life would just start going better. Duh, right? But I'd be getting in better shape, I felt more confident, I felt good about what I was doing, and everything just went better during these periods of my life where I didn't drink. So even when I was drinking, I always knew in the back of my head what I was capable of and how good life would be if I actually solved this problem. So that was a big thing that I always carried around with me. I knew one day that I had to fix this if I ever wanted my life to get to the next level. The second reason why I knew I had to quit is because when I stopped for around 6 to 8 months, I built a personal training business, and the personal training business was booming. I was making close to 6 figures if we put it into US dollars whilst I was still at university as a full-time student, and because I wasn't drinking, I was on fire. I felt like a machine. And within a couple of months of relapsing, that entire business just pretty much disappeared. I didn't take the actions I needed to take, my self-confidence took a hit. I remember there was a day where I was about to go to my client at about 4 p.m, it was 3 p.m, I was at home, and because things were just slowly spiraling, I remember smoking a cigarette out of the window and then just spending like 5 minutes washing my hands, afraid that my client was going to smell the smoke on me. And that relapse just led to my entire life just slowly spiraling out of control. I kept drinking more and more and more until I got to a place where I just basically destroyed everything. I was borrowing money off my family. It just got to a really bad place. And I knew what was to blame. It was alcohol. It was the drug. If I hadn't relapsed, I wouldn't have got to where I was, because I would have been doing the things I was supposed to do. So that was another thing that I carried around with me. The third thing was some of the health scares that happened. Now, obviously, I had the normal health problems like feeling shaky and getting irritable and putting on a little bit of weight, like getting a bit fat. But I did have a time where I went out one night on an empty stomach, and I ended up drinking so much that the next day I had thrown blood up on a MacBook Pro. I remember waking up seeing this brown stuff all over my computer thinking, it's not turning on, what the heck is this? I remember pulling out my phone and Googling it, and apparently it was blood. Can you imagine the fear seeing that? And I was like 24, 25 years of age. So that was another big reason why I had to quit, because it was kind of getting worse faster. And I was thinking, man, this stuff could kill me. The fourth reason why I had to quit is because I knew my family hated it. I knew my mum hated it. I knew my grandparents hated it. You know, my mum's been to AA for 20 years, so imagine that. Imagine she stopped drinking, she knew alcohol caused damage in her life, but then her son keeps drinking. She hated it. And she also knew that when I drank, I would usually go crazy. So that was a big thing. I knew my family hated it. And the fifth main reason, and the underlying theme of all of this, is I saw other men around me growing. I saw people starting businesses, getting in great shape, getting into amazing relationships, and I felt like my life was stagnant. And I knew to be the person I wanted to be, alcohol had to go. There was no question about it. And because of all the experiences that had happened over those 10 years of drinking, I knew that if I could fix this one problem in my life, everything would take off. And it did. But we'll get to that in a second. But now I want to break down why I found it so hard. Why did I not just stop drinking the first time I realized it was a problem? Why did it take 10 years of trial and error? Well, one thing I did when I was trying to stop drinking is I went to Alcoholics Anonymous. So like I said, my mum has been to AA for around about 20 something years. She's not drank for a long time. So I figured, why not? I'll give it a go. But then I got this new belief that I was an alcoholic. I was an addict, right? There was something different about me than everybody else. That's why I drank more. And I'll be honest, at first I bought into it. But this really just made things more difficult. It made things harder. And for me to actually fix this problem, for me personally, I had to let go of that label. I could not hold on to that label because I knew it would slow me down, it would hold me back, and it would make things just way harder. The second reason why I struggled is because I kept using willpower. What I mean by this is I kept just resisting the urge to drink. If you've ever tried this, you know that it can work for a short period of time, but as a long-term solution, it's pretty bad. See, if you have to resist alcohol, what are you actually communicating to yourself? You're telling yourself that alcohol is something that you actually really want, and you have to fight the urge to not drink. You don't need to fight the urge to not smoke crack. You see crack the way that it's a dangerous drug that you don't want, and then you just make a very easy logical decision to not take it. Alcohol's in a completely different category. So every time I used willpower, I'd ended up drinking more. Now, what I did do is I used something called first principles thinking to help me reframe the way that I view alcohol. If you want to access a free video training that I've put together that shows you how to do this, then click the link in the description. You'll put in your name and email address, and then a new video will start playing that shows you this totally new method to help you reframe the way that you view alcohol, so you don't need to use willpower, you don't need to give yourself labels, it's completely different. So definitely click the link beneath this video if you want to learn more about that. The third reason why I struggled is because I kept trying to stop drinking. And you might be thinking, but what's the problem with trying? We all need to try. Well, it's to do with the terminology that we use. I was never committed to fixing the problem. What I used to say is, I'm going to try to fix it. I'm just going to give it a go. I had no method, I had no solution, I had no idea of how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to try. And what would happen is, the longer that I tried, the harder it became. Because alcohol just kept going higher and higher on a pedestal, and I kept seeing it as something that I really wanted, but I couldn't have. So what do you think happened when my willpower was low one day? Well, I'd drink, and then I'd drink a ton. I'd get slaughtered. And then what would end up happening is I'd often end up drinking more than I did before I tried using willpower. But this idea of trying just doesn't really work. The best thing you can do is make a decision, is to commit to solving the problem. The fourth reason why I found it so hard is because I always felt this feeling of missing out. So let's say I'd stopped and I was a month sober, I might go and hang out with a friend who's, got their life together, they're in good shape and they're having a glass of wine and I'm not drinking. I might walk past, a beer garden and look at people drinking, but I'd always want to join in, but then I'd use my willpower and just not do it. I might see people drinking on TV, on a TV show, and I'd be looking at it thinking, oh, I just wish I could have one. I'd always have this feeling. I couldn't get rid of it. Now, 6 years ago, when I finally stopped, it just went away like that because I don't see alcohol this way anymore. But that made it hard, seriously hard. Which leads me to the fifth thing, and I had a secret desire. I found it so difficult because I had this desire that one day I could be a normal drinker. Somebody that had a couple of glasses of wine a couple of times a week and then just stopped. For so long, that was my dream outcome. These days, I realize having true control over drinking is being able to take it or leave it, but always choosing to leave it. That is true control. I'm in true control over crack cocaine. I'm never going to take crack cocaine. But for 10 years, I just had this desire to be a normal drinker. These days, I don't look at normal drinkers and want to be like them. At all. If anything, I feel sorry for them. So what about some of the benefits that have happened in my life over the past 6 years? Well, it's been insane. The first major thing is I now have zero desire to drink at all. I've completely changed the way I view alcohol, and that was it. I put that problem behind of me, which means I can go to bars. If I fly business class and they offer me a champagne, I think, no, why would I want that? If I'm with friends that are drinking, it just doesn't bother me. I just feel nothing. And because I've fixed my worldview, that has been the biggest benefit of all. It's just living my life, and that's it. Not avoiding alcohol, not hiding from drinks, not wishing I could be like them. It's just a done deal. I've made a decision and I've put it behind me. And that feels good. Now, I could start talking to you about the clarity and the energy and stuff like that, but I'm going to give you some specific results that have happened for me. Because even when I was drinking, I wanted more for my life. I wanted a better life. I wanted freedom. I wanted to be in better shape. So I want to keep it very specific rather than give you generic stuff. So the second big benefit was in business. So since I stopped drinking alcohol, I've actually started a company called SoberClear. I help business owners and professionals stop drinking as well. But when I was drinking, I had a dream of having my own business. The problem was that I would use alcohol as a form of escape and, I'd never do the hard work that was required. But since stopping, I've been able to get my head down, stay focused, and actually be consistent at building something for years. It was over 5 years ago where I started sharing my journey and telling people, about my transformation, and about 4.5 years since I actually started working with people. But there's no way that I could have had the success in business when I was drinking alcohol. Regardless of the business, of course I couldn't do this business if I was drinking, but since stopping, I'm more focused, I'm able to concentrate for a longer period of time, I'm able to deal with pain and suffering because, hard work is hard. Whereas before I might do a bit of work and then feel I need to reward myself with alcohol, and you know how it goes. So that's the second big benefit. The third benefit is in health. I remember when I stopped drinking, there was this really weird shift of within a couple of weeks, I felt healthy. Now sure, physically I would have been healthier. My blood markers would have been better, but there was this feeling of, oh, I actually feel different now. I'm sleeping better. I just felt healthy. So that was pretty awesome. But then, my training has gone to another level since stopping drinking. When I was drinking, I looked something like this. I was bloated, I was chubby, I was fat. And then stopping drinking meant that I could really be serious about training and following a program and not eating junk, and I could commit to something. So since stopping, I'm the strongest I've ever been, I'm the fittest I've ever been, and I'm probably in the best shape I've ever been. And that's an awesome thing. Like, who doesn't want to be fitter, stronger, and in better shape? The next thing is getting into a relationship. Now, when I drank, if I'm 100% honest, I was pretty selfish. It was hard for me to think of other people. It kind of like my life was revolved around me and my drinking. So when I drank, I wasn't in a relationship. I know that's not everybody's experience, but when I stopped, I was able to be there for somebody else. I was able to put somebody else before me. And I got into a relationship about 6 months after stopping drinking, and we've been together ever since. So there's kind of like an underlying theme of, because I was able to commit to stopping drinking, I've been able to commit to the bigger goals that I had in my life when I was a drinker. The business goals, the health goals, the relationship goals, all those things have become a reality since stopping drinking. And now the fifth major benefit is the lifestyle that I've been able to create. So my dream when I stopped drinking was to have an online business, something that was fully remote, that meant I could work from anywhere, I could travel, I could do whatever I wanted, and that's how I could work. So now I live in Dubai. I've traveled the whole world while not drinking, but I've still been working during that entire time. We've just come back from a 6-week trip in America. We went to Japan earlier in 2024. We went skiing for the first time with my girlfriend. I've skied in the past, she hadn't. That was so much fun. 2024, went to Korea, went to Malaysia, to Bangkok. And I'm able to live incredible experiences now because when I drank, I had a vision, but I couldn't make it work. But when I finally stopped, I was able to work towards that vision for years on end without going back. No more 2 steps forward, 1 step back. These days, since stopping drinking, it's just 1 foot in front of the other again and again and again. And it's awesome. And if you're in a place right now where you're thinking of changing your relationship with alcohol, fixing it, and then moving on, I have great news. You have 2 options. You can either do this alone, which will be more expensive, it'll be harder, and the chance of success will be far lower. Or if you want to do it together, I have good news. We're currently accepting new clients in the Sober Clear program, and if we do it together, the whole process will be far easier, way more enjoyable, and the chance of success is anywhere from 92 to 97%. It's probably about 5% doing it on your own. So if you want to see if the Sober Clear program could be a good match for you, if you want to work with me directly, then click the link in the description and book a call. My team and I have set aside a few hours over the next few days to actually speak with you and see if the program could be a good match for you. So if you want to see if it's a good match, click the link down below. And if you click the video on the screen now, you can see how Gordon has changed his life in just 6 months.